But I'm really happy to have Abhijit Banerjee and Esther Duflo with us, with Nobel Prize winners, the youngest ever. Great to have you again. It was a wonderful chatting with you last time. But this is a crisis that none of us could have foreseen. It just is unbelievable. We've seen migrants, we've seen people hungry. It's been but there have been some positive. The lockdown was a big decision, but perhaps it was not as planned as well as it should. But the key point is, what would you recommend that we do for the poorest, and obviously the daily wage laborers and the very, very poor who are really suffering at the moment? Can't talk to them about budget deficits. What should we do?
We were not coordinating very well. I'll start. Esther will jump in. We're in different rooms. So I think that what's very clear is that we need to get money in their hands. I think that's true even for macro-prudential reasons. I think it would be I think we were in a Keynesian slowdown, and now we're going to be in a Keynesian tailspin. And demand will go down, and therefore incomes will go down, and demand will then go down further. The usual story, but we are absolutely a classic position to be hit by that. So there is no excuse for not spending lots of money, and there's no excuse for not giving that money to the poorest people. I mean, that's not to say that I think probably what we want is, in fact, keep firms going as well, because the transition in and out of bankruptcy is very costly. So we probably want to have policies for debt rescheduling. I would say that probably, requiring essentially no debt repayment for the near future and using, public funds to bankroll that. But in general, I think that the hard question is, how do we make sure that the money gets to the poorest people who actually need the money, who are desperate? And if we want to actually have this lockdown work, we need them to have money, because otherwise they're going to just run out on the street. You can't ask people to just starve or even to live on PDS rations forever. I mean, they have other compulsions. Life is bad enough in a lockdown, and if you give them zero kind of incentive to comply, they won't comply. I think one wants to create enough slack that they're willing to endure this next few months.
Right. Esther Duflo?
Yeah, I think Abhijit said the most important things. One way to tie what Abhijit just said and what was said before by all of your guests is that maybe we should not think of this in terms of trade-offs. Maybe we should not think there are trade-offs between lives and livelihood, because and maybe we should not think that there is even a trade-off between sustaining people today and the macroeconomy, because everything hinges on the ability of the poorest people to survive this lockdown. And when I say everything, is on the health side, there is no trade-off, because after 3 weeks, if they cannot earn any money, there is nothing that is going to keep them home. Like, no police is going to be able to keep them home. So the lockdown would fail, and with it, the health consequences would immediately follow. So in that sense, there is no trade-off between sustaining people's livelihood and ensuring their health. The lockdown is necessary, but it can only succeed if we have a way to sustain people's lives. And likewise, as Abhijit said, there is a great danger of the economy of the economic shock to snowball, where it starts from a demand shock where people are unable to buy anything because they don't make any money, and therefore nobody is able to sell them anything, and therefore the people who would produce what these people would sell also lose their job and their livelihoods, and so on and so forth. And this snowballing would actually be the one thing that might undermine a quick recovery of the economy after the pandemic is finished, if everybody has gone bankrupt in these cycles.